Setting up your webinar for YouTube Live. Hello, hey, and welcome. We are on our monthly Busy webinar. I'm Dave Meyer, president of BusyWeb. Joining me, of course, as always, is Trigvi. Hey, Trigvi.
Hey, Dave.
Good to see you. And yeah, it looks like we've got a couple of folks that are also joining and that we can see sort of on screen. I don't think video is turned on for folks, but Haley and Joe, it looks like talking is permitted, so that's interesting, but it's okay. We can manage all of that. So good to see everyone. And let's talk today about finding your future markets with SEO. So this is kind of a tricky one because we wanted to get a little bit more in the weeds and applicable for the people that we normally have attending our webinars. So the idea of today's event is going to be how to use Google to tease out new markets and to tweak your markets and your marketing. So it's not necessarily tips and tricks on SEO per se, but how to apply your SEO and Google Analytics 4.
This is like anything, and that tool's intended use is one thing, but the side uses that other things you can do with the tool are often just as fruitful as the tool itself.
Absolutely. I'm just putting a quick note to ask questions here on YouTube. And you can also ask questions via the chat that's available inside of Zoom if you're joining us there.
And
so
questions from before, so we're going to be trying to answer those as we go today.
Yep, and we took all kinds of questions and everybody was great about providing details and info. But as we get started and as people are joining, let's talk a little bit about who BusyWeb is, what we are and what we do. We're a growth marketing agency located in Minneapolis. And if you've heard of HubSpot, BusyWeb is all in on the big orange sprocket. So we do websites and marketing and sales and service and all of the things that make a CRM and marketing and sales automation for our clients. So we focus mostly on the manufacturing and B2B services industries. We do a lot of work in the hiring industry, and we have a fair amount of like accountants and tax prep and business to business services. So all of those things require a high level of trust. And so what we do inside of our marketing is, or for our clients, is we grow the trust by being proactive and thoughtful in the way we follow up after that first click. A lot of marketers or a lot of marketing agencies just focus on driving traffic. We like to take that traffic and yes, drive traffic, but make sure that every click that you get is nurtured and that it becomes a more engaging, choose your own adventure style program. So we take it a little bit deeper. What did I miss, Trigvi?
I think what I said earlier about SEO, I think applies to us too, is you can use SEO, you can use marketing on the whole to get traffic to your website, but not all of it's good. And not all of it's going to drive revenue. So the difference between us and a lot of other people is that's where we start. What are the things what are the people you want coming to your website to drive revenue? And then how can we build a program around those people? Not everybody, the people you really want to work with, the people you really want to sell to, communicate. Because not everybody buys everything. Only everybody, and the riches are in the niches. So how can we help grow your niche is usually the conversation we like to have with people.
Cool. So in service of today's topic, finding your future markets, I have some basics and things that we want to talk through. Again, this is intended to be an interactive session, and we do have all of the questions that you've submitted, and we'll walk through those as we go through. But I want to set down a little bit of baseline on what SEO as it's applied in this respect looks like. So as we talk through this, Trigvi, feel free to chime in and if you want to guide through some of these slides as well, by all means, but in service of what
I
SEO is,
I
we can go
think,
here.
yeah, I think Kirk has a really good question that he asked ahead of time,
Mhm.
where he asked about spammers. And I think
Oh yeah.
a lot of people, and I tell anybody who we launch a new website for, one of the warning signs that I give them is, for at least once a day for the next 6 to 12 months, you will get an email from somebody telling you that your SEO is awful, and that this is going to end the world, and unless you hire them right away. And then they will say, can I send you a free report? And then when you get that free report, there will be a lot of scary red lettering on there on things you don't necessarily understand. What is that, and how do you do that?
Right. And I'm glad you actually brought that up, Trigby, because I have an example of that
Yeah,
I'll show later on in today's event. So Kurt, great question. And we'll get right into that. For basics on SEO, I think the things to know as far as, again, using the keywords that you rank for to help inform future markets, you need to look at what you're currently ranking for, of course. Do you get specific rankings that are hopefully surprising to you and are teasing into what your customers or what potential audiences might be looking for that you hadn't thought about? Of course, you need to know what those keywords are, so you need to use a few tools that we'll cover in a moment. But look at, it could be as simple as just a suggested search down at the bottom of your Google search pane, where you can see what other keywords are available. So look at what your competition is doing. We're going to give you a brief demo of Google Trends. You can use that to identify what those key phrases are, and even look at like lookalike markets. And I'm not going to explicitly talk about Google Ads today as a notice, but maybe that's another one to chat about in the future, because you can use some of Google's tools to identify similar audiences to what you're currently engaging with. So let's get back to absolute basics for a minute and just start with what Google search is. So in Google search, what we're trying to do is connect and engage with your customer before they know what your name is, right? So that's what I call SEO, is when someone searches for what you do before they know who you are. And so filling your website up with keywords and phrases that match what people are searching for is the way to get found. So as we look at this against SEO, we're looking mostly into these organic results. Up on the top is the ads, and you can pay to play to make sure that you show up. And there's definitely a spot for advertising in every marketing mix. Over on the right-hand side, that pane that you see with the gray bar and the other things, that's your Google business profile. And that relies on people to type in your actual business name. So it's not necessarily what we're talking about with today's topic. So we're trying to get found in those organic results. And since there's no longer really a page one and you keep scrolling, Trivia asked, what's the blue and green lines inside of here? So the blue line on any Google search engine results page, or SERP, the blue line is kind of represented as what a title is, and that's generally in blue text. So that's a page title, and you need to tell Google what you want your page to say. And that's the difference between it simply saying home and business marketing solutions for B2B services based in Minneapolis -BusyWeb, right? Very helpful and can be a much better engagement factor if you have a great title. In green underneath that is the description. And so the description of any given page is the more info that people would see when they're clicking. And it's kind of like a 1-2 punch for encouraging people to click. And then, of course, there's also the link to that page so that you can see what it is. So that's kind of the high level overview inside of what Google search looks like.
Go ahead. Before you leave off that page, I think as we're talking about baseline, I think one of the things that we'd encourage everybody to do is actually do some searching on your web pages to see what pops up.
Yeah, for sure.
Those are all easily fixable. If you don't have anything, that's easily fixable. If it has something that's weird or goofy or wrong or insufficient, again, completely fixable.
Right. So, and there's a lot of stuff, and per Kurt's note before, there's a lot of people that are kind of scamming and trying to get details out about, oh, your SEO is terrible. Well, it's not necessarily terrible. It probably could use improvement, but you need to know when to spot scams and how to ignore those kinds of engagements. So as we're looking at SEO, then my definition for today's talk, it's just the process of making your website show up better on search engines. And in our case, we're also trying to lever and find new markets by looking at what we're ranking for that might have been surprising. So in order to have great optimization and rank as highly as possible, your website needs to be visible. So if you're not using Google Search Console, check that out. It's at g.co/search console. And it's basically a tool that shows you how Google and therefore the world sees your website. You can actively look for customers and products, services that you offer by connecting directly with consumers. And you can increase potential sales by appearing prominently in search results. The old thing was, the best place to hide a dead body is on page 2 of Google search results. Now it's really swipe to, because Google has now gone to endless scrolling. So you can keep swiping and swiping and swiping, especially if you're on a phone, and more info will be there. But we're all relatively impatient in our lives. And so if it takes too long or too many clicks or scrolls to see your content, you're not going to get found. So of course, content is key. The things that we need to do in order to get us found are to publish great content. Think about content for not just your best customers, but your next customers. And so publishing things that they might also be searching for, using some of the data that you get from your search results, looking at suggested searches, looking at trends, and starting to incorporate some of that content into your website is going to help you show up to additional markets. And then also using those page titles and descriptions, like we mentioned a couple slides ago. And of course, organizing your content so that Google understands it. Now, again, this is not going to be a workshop that's going to get into the weeds on SEO itself. We're talking about how to apply it. So as we look at this, my favorite tool for getting information, I mentioned it before, but Google Search Console is a fantastic tool to help you identify and dig deeper into what Google sees on your website. You might have small problems that are easy to fix, like sometimes when people build their website or when a developer builds a website, they list it as no index, no follow. It's basically holding up a closed for business sign on the front door of your business as far as Google's concerned. It's really easy to forget to turn that back on or to open up that robots text so that everyone can see your website again. And so if you're not getting any search results at all, that's one of the things that I would check. Your website also might be slow. It might have a ton of errors on it. It might have lots of problems. Google Search Console will tell you what those problems are. Trygve, have you had any interesting examples or samples of people that have fixed things inside of their sites?
I think that one of the things that we come across a lot is people who have paid for lower level SEO companies to do work.
Mhm.
Somebody who pays like $200 a month, and those companies generally are reactive, or they are basing their work on older SEO theories. So I think the worst one that I ever found was a roofing company here in Minneapolis that I worked with, that I found, I think 2,000 some odd backlinks to a Pakistani baby.
Oh, great.
website
Yeah, fun.
that wasn't really helpful, and I was actually bringing the website down.
Mhm. Mhm. And all of those things like backlinks to poor websites or low trust score websites and other things are going to impact your results. So having a handle on that and with this free tool, Google Search Console, is going to give you a leg up. I want to show you Google Trends for a second before we get into the questions on SEO itself. So Google Trends is a super slick way to identify other ways or other things that people are talking about. So if you wouldn't mind, for some of the folks that are attendees, I know some of you, and so we can maybe guess on some of this, but I would love a keyword that you want to get found for. And I am going to put that keyword into Google Trends Live so that we can see it. So I'm going to give you a couple of seconds and let me know what keyword you'd like to get found for in your business. So go into webinar chat and give us a keyword. And I am going to open up Trends. Printing. Okay, let's do commercial printing. Wow, it would help if I had my fingers on the right keys. Commercial printing. And I'm going to go search term, topic, or more detail. So what this tells me is commercial printing, interest over time. So see, it's kind of low right now, but we had a big pop in June or on June 7th. So this is interest over time over days. So this is past day. If I wanted to expand this out over the past 12 months, it's telling me it's pretty consistent. If I want to go United States, I can dig deeper and I can do Minnesota and see what that's like. And then I can actually compare if I'm looking at getting into a different market, commercial printing. And
Dave,
then
this is a
I
free
can
tool, right?
change this. Yep, this is all completely free. So I can see.
While he's doing this, I think the one thing that I would caution you about is if you remember the movie A Beautiful Mind, where all of a sudden words start appearing amongst you and then you're completely down the rabbit hole. Going into this is you can get really technical really quickly.
I'm just going to change that to brochure printing so that we have different data. Inside of here, I can see the relative popularity of different keywords over time and in different areas. So this is brochure printing over the United States. Actually, you have to select these and you can't do it separately. That's what my problem was. I was searching for the same thing. But commercial printing versus brochure printing, United States, and it gives me all the detail, but it also breaks down a comparison by subregion. So I can see that it's very popular in the United States or in Minnesota, some of my biggest markets. So looks like brochure printing is much more popular in Louisiana versus commercial printing. And so you can see different kinds of topics, different kinds of opportunities, and other things inside of that overview. So it's kind of fun to dig deeper. And notice here, it's giving me related queries here as well. So this is searches. This is related queries, so different keyword queries. So cheap brochure printing, Vistaprint, UPS printing, trifold brochure template. These would all be things that I would want to consider for additional content. And you can add a number of different comparisons and different categories, different times. If I want to do business and industrial, that's going to change my topics a little bit. Web searches, I can do image searches. If I had a product that I was searching for, I could look at Google Shopping, and this would tell me how popular each thing is on any given shopping tool, right? So if Google Shopping is where it's literally that tab inside of Google search where you can shop, or you can also see, image search, if you hit the tab, or news. So I can search up recent news or video under YouTube searches. So super slick and easy and kind of fun to take care of. So that's kind of high level overview on what you get in Google Trends. So let's look through a couple of questions. We have a bunch of SEO related questions. So we already talked a little bit about Kurt's question, but let's dig in on some of these. So Trigby, I'll let you chat this first one.
So, and again, we talked about this a little earlier because I think this is something that hits everybody and everybody gets these. So Kurt, I'm going to answer this in a number of different parts. So number one is I would take anything that somebody sends you from your SEO is terrible standpoint as with a grain of salt. Those reports and those softwares are designed to scare people who don't know about SEO to make it seem really, really bad. So within any of those reports, there's some things that are legit that you can improve upon. There's a lot of stuff that your web designer has probably made decisions that you that are going to maybe drag down the website, but not a lot. And then a whole bunch of stuff that, I've been doing this for 12 years and I don't really even understand what they are. So what I do, and this is the truth, is even though we have several people on staff who work at BusyWeb doing SEO, anytime a spammer says your SEO is terrible, would you like to see a report? I always answer yes, please send me the report. And they 100% never actually do it. And here's an example of what one looks like. You can see this is a relatively tame one. This is also on our website. So obviously it's pretty good in terms of not having a lot of things. But the second thing is when we're talking about scammers who are trying to scare you is keep in mind the whole SEO industry is based on a concept that has a terrible name called break fixes. So what that means is every 2 weeks, Google changes its search algorithm, but it doesn't tell anybody what it did to change the search algorithm. The only way in which you can tell is if you run a report before and run a report after and see what the differences is. That's what's considered the break. How did your website go down, or what needs to be tweaked or anything like that in order to go up? Then that's what resolves into fixes. So what we see a lot of times is, in that 2-week period, we don't necessarily do all the changes the day of they come out. So if like, for instance, if Google changes everything on the 15th, if you're a client of ours, we'll probably get to fixing everything by the 23rd, 24th. That's not to say that your website is immediately decreased. It just means, hey, there's some stuff you need to pay attention to. But if you don't, if that spammer is creating that report during that time, it's going to look awful. That doesn't mean that anybody's doing anything. So what I tell you is it's important that when you hire an SEO professional, you need to feel that they know what they're doing and that they're interested in developing strategies that give you good traffic that's convertible traffic. And then you got to trust them. Mm-hmm. And if somebody gets a report to you, of which I would say 98 times out of 100, nobody actually sends me the report. Maybe they look at the website and realize it's folly, but every once in a while you get some good comedy out of it. Once got a report that said that we were terrible with we didn't rank for private airports.
Oh, bummer.
Well, yeah. we don't do that. So okay, great, thanks. That's like saying, you also haven't ranked for Punxsutawney Phil. Well, we're not in Pennsylvania, so that's not a big deal. Catherine, if you want to see me after class, we can talk about getting you a report like this. And this is a great tool called SEMrush. It is a paid tool, so we have a developer license of it. So a lot of this is there, but you can see some of those. Even on our website, there's warnings. Does that mean that something's terrible? No, it just means that, hey, there's something you need to think about.
Right, and it's like missing alt attributes. There are a bunch of landing pages that don't have alts on them. For us, we know what that means, but a scammer or a spammer would say, you have, 95. So they're going, here's 55, here's 110, here's 111, here's 125. You have 125 errors on your website. Your site is terrible. Like, no, we own the market on all the keywords that we care about.
Or another example of that is if you have something in the footer of your website that is somehow an error that would then result on every single page, you don't have 125 things wrong. You have one thing wrong that's repeated 125 times.
Right. Right.
Kurt asks Dave, can you use somebody besides your web host to do your SEO? Will they need to change your website content that web hosts control? So that's an interesting question, Kurt. I'll answer it and then I'll defer to Dave. Your web host does not do SEO. So
well, maybe in some cases they do, but
possibly yes. So will they need to so for the most part, web hosts, basically, if you think about the internet as the world's biggest file cabinet, they have a drawer in the file cabinet that you're renting space to put a file in there. That's what the host does. So what the SEO person is trying to entice the web designer. Okay, person. Perfect. It depends on their capabilities. Oftentimes you can find somebody who does know how to do both well, and if so, that's great. With respect to changing your content, part of that is behind the scenes content that would have to be changed on a regular basis. Really a great winning strategy is somebody who's continuing to add content to the front end of the website.
For sure. And I'll layer this on. Just because your web designer built your website doesn't necessarily mean that they're a search engine expert. And so any good CMS, content management system like WordPress, in our case, HubSpot, there's Squarespace, Wix, Weebly, whatever. All of those are SEO-able by the end user. So you can do SEO yourself. You can hire someone else to help you with SEO. It doesn't need to be the designer, but a lot of times designers do have at least a baseline knowledge in search engine optimization. So you can start with them. But if you're seeing that your results aren't matching what you need, sometimes it pays to have someone connect with us or with you. And to that end, and again, back to what Catherine asked, we would be happy to run a report like I shared on screen and not do all the scare tactic stuffs that all the spammers do, but to tell you what it actually really means and say, these are some things that you might want to look at, or again, to look at what the opportunities are in your market based on other keywords that you might rank for or that your competitors rank for. So let's dig into a couple more things. Then I want to get back into content because this is rolling by really, really fast. And again, want this to be your time for all of our attendees that are asking live. You registered, you're here, you're live. Please don't be shy about asking questions either in chat or in Q&A. So as we look at finding target markets, I think we'll talk more about that in a second when we get into Google Analytics 4. But how does SEO work for service-based businesses, B2C, B2B based businesses, and what's the difference? So in general, now service-based businesses have completely different keywords and rules to get found than a B2C, aka a retail-based business. It's the difference between selling a widget and having something that someone can click on and buy right there versus creating a lead and forging a relationship. So think of it as the difference between if you're at a cocktail party with someone and they're trying to sell you on the latest multi-level marketing thing and have you cornered and are trying to get you to buy something, have like, I had a son in Scouts and a girl and a daughter in Scouts, trying to either sell cookies or wreaths versus trying to forge an ongoing relationship. So the keywords are different. The search intent is different. And by search intent, what I mean is, what am I trying to do when I start typing in that search box? Search intent for B2C or retail businesses is to buy something. So it's very much transactional. It's immediate. They're looking for something right now. Search intent for B2B or service-based businesses tends to be more informational in tone, because what they're trying to do is research to see if you're a good match for what they need. And so you need to have much deeper content on your website, and you need to think about all the different questions that people might have, all the different things that they're going to need to do if they're researching making a significant spend with you. and have all of that content on your website and give them a next step. I hope that makes sense. Trig, did I miss anything?
I think you got it. I think the one thing I would say is that SEO is an investment, and it's also a time consuming. So for both B2C and B2B businesses, that the important metric isn't SEO related, it's cost per acquisition.
Yeah.
And so if you know what your cost per acquisition is, and it's relatively high, and you're okay with that because there's a high dollar figure associated with it, then it's absolutely a good choice for those things.
For sure. One more round of questions here. Let's get into these. Interested in targeted conference attendees for various events on topics. How do I ensure the best SEO on each event's page within my site? This is actually really fun. What pages are the most important? Our homepage includes a lot of general info, but do we need to be more topic specific? So I'm gonna go broad strokes, and then I know this is one of Trigvy's fun soapboxes, so I'll let him chime in too. But every page on your website is a new opportunity to engage with people with the right content. So every landing page on your website should be targeted for the exact intent and audience that you're trying to reach. So yes, your homepage is important, but a landing page is probably far more important for specific content. So if you're trying to find targeted conference attendees on various topics, you need to have content on multiple pages that talks about those specific topics separately, right? So this is why blogs exist. You can have articles on blogs or landing pages inside of blogs or on your website that are built to engage people at different phases or stages of their buyer's journey. And your website, your homepage shouldn't have everything on it. It should be a quick directory to all the content that people are trying to find.
Well, gosh, I have so many soapboxes. I'm reluctant to figure out which one you're talking about. But I would say this is I would say that within any website, you have between 2 and 5 seconds to get people to understand how you can help them. And if they can't figure it out in 5 seconds, they're not staying. And if you haven't given them at least 2 opportunities to communicate with you once they understand how you can potentially help them, then you're doing it wrong.
Right.
How was that? That soapboxing enough?
That's perfect.
Cool.
So next up, can we get some tips for writing better blogs? Actually, I have a fun one for this, and I'm pulling up a separate page on this. Trivia, why don't you go broad on it, and then I'll bring up an episode.
Yeah, I think that's the mark of a really good SEO professional who works on the front side of the website as well as the back side. So I think of a website much like I think of a restaurant, that there is the front of the house activities. That's where everybody sees and everybody everybody interacts with, and there's the smooth jazz and the nice menus and everything like that. And then there's the back end, which is that kitchen that's built for brutal efficiency and delivery. SEO hits both ends of those. So the best tip I can give you is, if you have a list of keywords that you're trying to optimize on the back end of the website, how many times have you put them on the front end of the website?
Right.
Now, there's a term called keyword stuffing, which really is counterproductive. And I think everybody's seen that, where you look at a website and it says, are you in need of plumbing in Minneapolis? The best people who need plumbing in Minneapolis go to Minneapolis's best plumber, minneapolisplumber.com.
Right.
Where if you say that sentence out loud, it sounds ridiculous because you've said the phrase Minneapolis and plumber 4 times. Don't do that.
Right. Well, let me go live and just do a quick demo on some of the tools that you get built into HubSpot to write a better blog. So the brand new interface on HubSpot's blogging tools makes it super easy to go in. I can edit and change images just by typing text. In this case, we have a quick overview that was actually spoken out, and we recorded it to give more help to multiple audiences. But inside of here, we've got all kinds of details. We've got content. We've got handy keyword analysis. What I want to show you is the Optimize tab inside of here. So the Optimize tab basically does everything that Search Console would do if you had it on separately, and puts it right into your blogs. So you can see how mobile friendly your website is or your page is, what the content is looking like. It has enough words on it. If you had a page that only had 7 words, this would be a red mark. It shows you what your crawling and indexing is, and everything that is good is automatically just hidden because you've already locked that in. But in this case, there are a couple of small things that I want to tweak. So I've got one minor issue that decorative images should have blank image attribute, but other images should have detail. Alt text helps search engines and visibly impaired users understand what your image is about. So I should click on this image and I should change that alt text. I'm not going to do that live on here because I don't want to mess with the page. And our blogging team would probably jump over the wall and hunt me down if I messed up their fantastic content without notifying them first. But you can use this recommendations tool to give you all of the tools and all the content that you need and to help you optimize for it. So it's built right in to the HubSpot tool. So that's one easy way to make sure that you're getting the best out of your SEO on your blogs. So great question. Thank you very much. Let's keep going because we're at a little over the halfway mark already. And I still want to talk about how to use Google Analytics 4 to find insights on your audience. Apocalypse is coming. Everybody's heard about it. Google Analytics 4 is going to be the only version of Google Analytics starting, drum roll please, next month. At the end.
What? Next month?
At the end of this month, Universal Analytics is going away. Most everybody in the world has already been migrated to Google Analytics 4 by now, but if you have not, you need to go into your Google Analytics, go into settings, and use the analytics migration tool to set up your content now. And you need to make sure that you go in and you back up all of your data from Universal Analytics, from the old version of analytics, because Universal Analytics is going away, and so is your data. It's important to have all of that data. So go ahead and migrate that out. Look at the BusyWeb blog because we have a blog post about what to do that we published just a couple of weeks ago on our blog at right at the top of the page of BusyWeb's website. But there's much more on that. So, just fair warning, you're at less than 30 days. We're actually at 23 days before Google Analytics, Universal Analytics goes away. So again, backing up into figuring out how your data connects and how to use that to grow or identify a new market. You need to just simply look at markets and what they are. So the data that you get from your website tells a story. And so as you look at your story, where are people coming from? How are they finding you? What do they find interesting about you or your business? What pages are they hanging out most on? And what is that information telling you? And you need to match that to your business's goals. Most of the goals inside of our businesses are related to some of these. So sales, of course, is always a deal. But for B2B companies, a lot of times you need to break sales into leads first or appointments. Sometimes it's phone calls or traffic if you have a retail location that you want people to show up at, or sometimes for SaaS companies or other businesses, it might be downloads. So what are you trying to do? And match that to the interactions on your website. I did talk very briefly about Google Analytics and Google Analytics 4, but it is a simple tool that helps you to find information about what is actually happening, both in real time and over time on your website. So the best way to figure out new markets is to look at who's visiting your website, because they're already there. They're finding you. And if you know enough about them, you can market to them, or you can identify, boy, it looks like people in, let's go for the easiest demography. Somebody in Wisconsin or it looks like a ton of people from Wisconsin are very interested in what BusyWeb, located in Minneapolis, is doing. So maybe I should do more Wisconsin focused content, right? Or maybe I should do more content based on a different analysis of my clients. I thought that I was dealing with a specific kind of person based on their user behavior or tracking. And I might be surprised after I look at the data that there are different people that are visiting. So understanding what your website visitors are like and how they behave is super important. Learning what strategies are working and making better decisions about your business are all things that you can do through Google Analytics 4. So why use it? To understand what content your audience is interested in, of course, to create content that your audience wants, and to leverage what your new audiences that you're not currently optimizing for need, and to start doing more. So you're going to evaluate those channels and focus campaigns on the places that you want to pivot into. So I talked very briefly about this, but here's the difference between Universal and Google Analytics 4. I also have a big blog post on this with the details and the differences. So again, just go to busyweb.com if you want more on that.
The other thing that it's important to notice is that there's a number of countries and a number of states in the union that are instituting new privacy laws and data capture laws and data capturing. So all in all, in the 10,000 foot level, it means that your data is going to be unreliable for a while. It's not going to capture everything to the 100% level that you're used to, and the industry is going to have to take these privacy laws and these privacy changes in stride in order to continue to get it better. It's not going to be terrible. You're not going to be completely off. You're going to be at about 85%.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And as you go through setting up analytics, you simply go to our blog for more tips. But if you go to g.co/analytics and click get started, if you don't already have your analytics property set up, it is super simple, easy. And you should be taking advantage of that because the old stuff is going away and you need to have data in order to make database decisions. The analytics account, there's 4 things or 5 things that you can do inside of here. The homepage includes a number of easy tabs that you can go through. And then you can look through reports and look for insights and even tag it in with advertising so that you know not only what people are clicking on, but what they do after they click on your website. So I want to take you through a few of these tabs quick, Trygve, and by all means, feel free to chime in as we go. But and I do have a live version of analytics up. So if you have specific analytics questions, I can show you that live in a real version. As we go through here, reports are exactly what you would expect, and there are customizable tabs inside of reports and an AI-enabled insights tab that gives you data that Google thinks you should know, even if you haven't looked at specific things. So if you're brand new to analytics, the good news is that Google does a lot of that thinking for you now in Google Analytics 4. As you look through these reports, it could be as simple as what kinds of people are visiting on the website, what kinds of pages are the most popular, what devices are they using, are they on mobile devices or are they on computers, are they on Android versus iOS devices? You can figure all of that stuff out. Report options, you can add filters and comparisons and date ranges to any given thing and compare them one versus the other. The easiest report or the most interesting, if you have like a big topic or a big event coming up, I like the real-time reports inside of here is where you can just go in and see what's happening on your website live. If you have a TV appearance that you're doing, or if you're holding a live conference and you want to make sure that people are actually visiting your website, you can see that in real time. A really easy way to make sure that your analytics is set up correctly is to look to your real-time analytics and open up a new tab and visit your homepage. If that account or if that real-time number goes up by 1 when you visit your page, congratulations, it's working. If it doesn't, then something might be wrong and you might need to look at how your website is connected or some other issues. And there's an easy wizard in figuring that stuff out as well. Next up inside of here are the acquisition reports. So where are your customers coming from? Are they coming from, in this case, organic, which means searching on Google, none or Data deleted are kind of a catch-all for the ones that Google either doesn't have data from, or that it's direct traffic where it just goes right to it. Referral is from other websites. So if you're affiliated with a chamber of commerce, or if you're in partnership with another business and you're getting content there, that's where the referral content comes from, and so on and so forth. So that's how you're getting people. Are they searching for you? Are they typing directly in their web browser, or are they coming from a partner? Engagement, what are people doing on your website? You can look at specific events and content, and events is really one of the biggest differences in Google Analytics 4. It's more focused on what people are doing on a website versus the simple act of clicking. An event might be scrolling to 75% depth on the website page, which means that they're reading, which is a great event to know, right? Or it might be people that go to your shopping cart and leave before buying, so you can see more detail on them. Now let's talk about monetization for a second. You can look at and assign dollar values. Super easy if you're an e-commerce website or company, but even if you're B2B or selling services, you can assign values to individual pages or form fills, and then know how well your website is actually performing. Retention gives you how loyal your customers are. This is the difference between someone that's brand new to your website and that's never visited before versus someone that has visited before and is coming back again. Little caveat with this one, if people have private browsing turned on, they're always going to show up as a new user. Or if they visit on a different device, like if they show up on their phone one day and then come back on their computer, that's also going to be a different, or show up as a new visitor versus returning, even though they're not really. So you always have to take data that comes from analytics or anywhere with a small grain of salt. You can also keep up with your audience, knowing what devices and browsers they're using, as I mentioned before, Chrome or Safari, Edge or Firefox, Windows, Mac, iOS or Android. You can see all of that and know, kind of based on that, who your best audiences are or what people are doing on your website and in which way. And then, of course, analytics intelligence is a new thing that you can do inside of Google by simply hitting the search bar at the top and asking in real language, what age is my average customer? Or what city is most likely to view, and then insert specific page or item. And Google's analytics inside of here will actually use its AI engine and give you that data back. Super, super slick and easy. And that's another thing that you get new in GA4. Finally, we've got custom analytics insights versus that intelligence. So if you scroll through your pages in insights, it'll tell you just interesting things that are happening on your website. And so we can go through that and I can give you more detail. Trivia asked or noted that we can go into a live demo. But yeah, I want to take through a couple more slides and then we'll get into that demo. So you can use this to get more information on the fly. And then you can set dimensions, you can set secondary views, you can set segments or subsets of your data. So I want to know specific ages of people that visit a specific page, or new versus returning, or how many people on iOS devices actually purchased my product or service, and go way deep. Explorations also give you more information about all of these things. And it's a really easy interface where you simply tip on each of these things. So if I wanted to know US traffic or direct traffic or paid or mobile or tablet, I simply click on that and it gives me detail kind of in real time on what all of those things are.
I think that's a great tool that when you're talking about things or you're hiring people who do what we do, and they say, oh, Dave, guess what? We had 900 new visitors to your website. Well, that's great. If they're all from Kuala Lumpur, they're really not going to buy from your local service-based business.
Right. Or your pizza shop and your SEO company that might be a little bit less than scrupulous is telling you, yeah, you just got 30,000 more visits. If they all came from spam, or all came from something that you're never going to see again, you need to find a new marketing company. All right, so here's some questions, and the basic ones that we have here I want to answer, and then I want to get into a quick demo on Google Analytics 4 in the last 10 minutes. This is, again, for everyone that's attending, please ask those questions. We'll get into more detail and we'd be happy to. I don't see any questions on the YouTube channel, so I think we're set there. But again, if you want to fill out either in the Q&A tool or in chat, we'd love to hear from you. All right, so I signed up for GA4, but messages from Google still sound like I need to sign up. What Google is telling you, if you're still getting emails about Google Analytics, is that you probably need to finalize that migration, and or you need to make sure to back up all of the information that you had in Universal Analytics. So take a look at that. Everyone by default is going to get set up with Universal or Google Analytics 4 by the end of the month. So the cool part about getting on early, though, is that you will only have data from the first moment and Google Analytics 4 was set up. So if you set it up today, you'll have data starting today. If you wait until the end of the month, you're not going to have data until the end of the month. So get on it early and make sure that you're set up as quickly as possible. And don't forget about getting those reports from the old version of analytics before it goes away. And then it's a little nerdier, but using custom dimensions for form submission events in GA4, want to make sure that I'm tracking everything I need to know and what channels and content are converting. I would encourage you to check out Insights for that one, because it's going to give you kind of a more rounded review. And by that, what I mean is I want to actually bring us into the live version of analytics. This is available for you to play with if you don't have Google Analytics set up yourself. Just do GA4 demo account, and you can actually find this. What I want to get into is the Explore tool. And so as I go into Explore and look at Insights, I can see individual things on what's happening inside of my account. So this is an e-commerce based account. I can look through my segments. I can hit direct traffic. I can add names, steps, selected card, personalized, showing the lapse time inside of here. I can add that in. It looks like some of these are turned off because it's a public account. But inside of here, you can play around and go to all of these different accounts. 90 people are on this store right now. And actually, if I want to go into this, I can drill down into this data and see what people are doing at any given time. So super easy. If I look into the reports, I can see, okay, 61,000 users, 50,000 of those are new users, average engagement time just under 2 minutes, users in the last 30 minutes, 91. And you can see insights and things about all of these right now. So it's pretty simple. And then if I go into this Insights tab in the upper right, I can see insights on this page. How many users did I have last week? What are my top pages? Let's see what that is. So drinkware on the merchandise store was my most popular page, followed by apparel, the homepage, men's merchandise, blah, blah, blah. So I can click down into those if I want as well. So super easy. And you can also see suggested questions to use the AI inside of here. So traffic analysis, month-over-month growth in users. It's kind of fun. I'm down 13,000 users over the past month period. So from June 1 to 6 to May 1 to 6, this same period, that's the difference in what I've seen. So lots and lots here. I think it's kind of interesting to see what tech people are visiting on. So it's like Android, Windows, Macintosh, iOS, Chrome OS, Linux.
That's an important thing to look at, because with a website, you have a fixed amount of space, and to know how people are looking at your website and making sure that you're providing them with the experience you want to provide them, that's a really crucial data point.
What is my best-selling product? I can simply type that in. And it gives me a product name by transactions. So it gives me that. And I can see where to go. Some more detail inside of here. So pretty handy.
Absolutely.
And again, I got here by simply typing Google Analytics for demo account. If you have an account, it'd be best for you to do this in your own account. But if you haven't set it up yet, if you have a HubSpot based website, a WordPress based website, it's super easy to tie in Google Analytics. And actually, I can't see the account data inside of here. It would be useful if you click in the little 3 dots, you can do start tour, and it'll take you through Google Analytics and show you all the things that you need to know. So click reports in the navigation panel, and it'll actually take you through that. So you can see what everything does. Next, reports, next, reports, explorations. I can click that and it shows me what happens. And super simple, so you can actually get more out of this tool. It's incredibly powerful. It's free, which is amazing. And I love using Google Analytics to find out more detail about my customers. So we have just a couple of minutes left. So I want to wrap up quick and just give you the basics again and kind of wrap back in. If you do have questions, this is your chance to give us more feedback. And as we do wrap up, I'm going to leave you with these couple of events and a SEO checklist to loop back on this. So go ahead and check either of those out. But in general, as you look at this for using SEO and analytics to find new target markets, what you're looking for is what people are doing on your website and what your competition is doing and what keywords people are searching for. So using tools like Google Trends and Google Analytics and Search Console can give you a lot of data. And if you take that data and apply it right, you're going to get new keywords and new phrases that you should start posting on your website. Trygve, I'll let you wrap us up.
I think that with anything SEO related, it's important that you realize it's the start of something bigger. And so if you are looking at using this as an effective way to grow your markets, you can absolutely do that. But it's an investment and it's time and it's very, very analytical. So finding experts is in your best interest.
For sure. And we're happy to help. If we can do something for you, we'd love to chat or connect. As a quick aside, you should all be getting an email after this for all the folks that registered on the live account or on the live event. You should be getting a note. Feel free to send us a note if you want to get more detail. You can send an email to dave@busyweb.com or hello@busyweb.com to request today's deck if you want this. And we'd be happy to share that with you as well. And again, thank you all for your time and attention. Hope this helped you to find more future markets and, of course, generate buzz without getting stung. Thanks, everybody. This was absolutely amazing. Love having you on, and thanks for the big attendance today.
We'll see you the second week in July.
Absolutely. See you soon. Bye, everybody.